Welcome everyone, it's Shari Carroll for SimonsStamp.com, and I've created a clipboard using Tim Holtz Idea-ology, Sizzix, and Ranger products. I'm starting off by removing the screws that will hold the clipboard top, and you just unscrew those from the front, and then you can remove all the plastic and packaging. The paper I'm using to cover the clipboard are Tim Holtz pocket cards, and I've picked out 4 pieces that look nice together and will cover the entire clipboard. I do want to do some texture to one of these, so I'm using the Tim Holtz 3D Damask embossing folder, and I'll just slide one of the cards in, and I can run this through my die cut machine. Now that I have the texture on my card, I can start applying all these pocket cards to the clipboard, and I'm using the Tim Holtz Ranger Collage medium, and I'm just going to generously apply this to the clipboard. And I'll also apply some to the back of the pocket card, so I have 2 layers of glue, and then I can place this onto the clipboard. And once I have that in the position that I like, I can run some collage medium back over the top. I've added 2 other pieces in the same way I did the first, and here I've just clipped off this smaller piece, and I'll just add some collage medium right to the clipboard, onto the back, and followed by a little more collage medium on top. Next, I want to add some texture to one of the snapshots and flashcards, so I have the Ranger crackle paste, and I'm using a palette knife so I can get a nice thick coating. And I'll just place this around the outer edges of the snapshot, and I'll cover the entire flashcard piece. I've trimmed down the papers on the clipboard and everything is dry at this point. Now I'm adding additional texture by using grit paste, and this is the transparent, and I'm also using the Simons Stamp Arches stencil. I've chosen the transparent grit paste over the opaque so that I can see the papers from underneath. I've die cut some flowers from watercolor paper, and these are the Tim Holtz Modern Floristry, and they're kind of modern looking, but I thought I could do some distressing. So I have my pieces cut, and I'm going to work on the greens first, and I'm using peeled paint ink, and I'm just going to press this onto my glass mat and spritz it with some water. And then I can dip my die cut leaves right into the watered down ink. To get a little bit darker color, I'm also using the ink with a blending brush, and I'm just going around the edges. I'll be doing the same process with my flowers, and I'm using some salvaged patina and walnut stain to get a nice vintage look. And now that the crackle paint is dry on my snapshot and flashcard, I'm just going around the outer edges with walnut stain and a blending brush. Everything on my clipboard is now dry, and I want to rough up some of these edges, so I'm just using a sanding block and I'm rounding those corners off where I couldn't get around with my scissors. And next, to darken the grit paste stenciling, I'm using a walnut stain distress crayon, and I've just scribbled that onto my glass mat. And with a wet paintbrush, I can create my solution to paint over that stenciling. The solution will stick to the grit paste, but not in between, so you get to color your design as you wish. So you can thin this out a little bit or use it as a darker concentrated color, depending on how you want it to look. Next, I'm using some Foundry Wax, and this is the Mind color, so I'm just adding a little bit to my glass mat, and I'll be applying this to that embossed postcard area with a dry flat brush, and this I'm just brushing it over ever so lightly just so I can grab the peaks of that embossing. And next I'll be using sterling, and I'm just going to use my finger with this, and I'm just going to go around all the edges. I kind of want it a little bit thicker than what I have on the embossed piece, so using my finger works out well. I had a little extra on my glass mat, so I'm adding this with my finger over the embossed area just for a little extra shine. So I'm just dragging gently using a light touch, and I'm not picking up that much of the silver. I just want to make sure again that I hit the peaks of the embossing. To set the foundry wax and also to get some great shine, use your heat gun, and I'm just swirling this around to make sure that I get the entire area without concentrating too much on one single spot. And next I'll be adding some of the foundry wax to the clip of the clipboard, and a key, and I'll heat set those with my heat gun. I've also added a little bit of sterling foundry wax, and right now I'm adding some salvaged patina paint, and I'm just dry brushing this on and then wiping it off with a paper towel, and this will give it a nice vintage look. And now that I have all my pieces all ready, it's time to start some assembly. So I'm adding the screws right back into the clipboard. I've poked a hole using my pick tool to get through the glue and the paper. I'm using my tiny attacher to put together the snapshot and the flashcard. And now I can start looking at how I want everything to sit. So I've placed my photo under the clip and I like it at an angle. And then I can start adding my flowers around just to see how everything will fit. And to affix everything in place, I'm using my Simon Says Stamp Craft Tacky Glue. I've worked my way around the right side of the photo and the flashcard, and now I'm just adding my last piece of greenery in place using my glue. For additional drama and shine, I'm using the Tim Holtz Sizzix die, and this is called Flower Field, so it cuts one large piece all at once. I've also cut an additional piece to sit off to the right of my clipboard so that it can go across the entire width. And to adhere this, I'm using my Simon Says Stamp Craft Tacky Glue, and I'm adding the glue drops right into some of the bolder areas of the die. And then I can gently pat this down with my fingers. And I'll do the same thing with the small piece that I'm adding to the right. Once those flowers have dried, you can use your scissors and trim off the excess that's hanging off the bottom and the sides. And here's how this piece is looking so far with all the texture and shine from the papers and foundry wax. Towards the bottom, I'm going to add an additional flashcard and a word plaque with a little bit of twine using my hot glue gun to set this in place. And to finish this off, I'll just add a little bit of hot glue behind the key at the top of the clip. And here's my finished piece. I really enjoyed adding all the different layers and textures to this piece. It's especially fun to touch and feel. I have all my supplies listed in the description box below, along with a link to our blog post for more information. And as always, thanks so much for watching.